Today, the Minnesota Supreme Court ruled an adult transgender athlete was discriminated against when she was banned from a women's powerlifting competition.
This ruling is the latest in a 6-year legal battle, and it's not over yet. Our Renee Cooper has the latest from the state's high court.
J.C. Cooper sued USA Powerlifting, saying they discriminated against her as a transgender woman. Now, state law prohibits discrimination based on gender identity. Cooper was unavailable for an interview, but a fellow transgender athlete weighed in alongside her attorneys.
We are thrilled with this decision, and I'm also just very excited to see Minnesota leading the way by unanimously affirming that trans people belong.
Minnesota Supreme Court justices on Wednesday ruling USA Powerlifting, as a place of public accommodations, discriminated against J.C. Cooper.
I don't know if you've heard this case that the Minnesota Supreme Court has ruled that a biological man is being discriminated against because he's not allowed to do powerlifting with women.
Male to female transgenders are not allowed to compete as females in our static strength sport, as it is a direct competitive advantage.
What was your reaction?
Disappointment, and also not being surprised entirely because of the way that trans women and trans feminine people are treated in sports.
Do you think it's fair for you to compete in the women's category?
Absolutely.
Why?
Why not?
This is what happens when you try to placate to these people. We're literally having a discussion. The Supreme Court there has looked at this evidence and says, technically, there is no difference between male and female. The feminist movement should be outraged. Those who say they're fighting for women's rights should be outraged that a biological man is being allowed to compete with the women, and he goes to court and the court agrees that he is being discriminated against.
So a stunning setback for fairness in female sports. The Minnesota Supreme Court ruling in favor of a transgender athlete who was not allowed to compete in the women's division of a powerlifting competition. Ty Pyro has the details. Good morning, Ty.
Hey, Lawrence. The Minnesota Supreme Court finding the biological male was discriminated against when USA Powerlifting refused to allow them to compete in a women's competition back in 2018. The decision bringing a key victory to J.C. Cooper, who initially filed the lawsuit back in 2021 after the organization told them it would be unfair to biological female lifters to allow them to compete.
Whatever happened to DNA tests like the ones they used to have on Jerry Springer? You are the father, you're not the father. Biologically, since we've always talked about following the science, what about the science? Shouldn't the science be looked at XY chromosomes? End of conversation. But in this world, we're having debates. As a society, we're really done as a society. As a society, when you are arguing that there is no difference between males and females, you've already lost the argument.
It's a massive win, and we're really excited.
The ruling, not as wide-ranging as it seems. Here's the attorney for USA Powerlifting.
It's obviously a split decision. It's a partial victory for us and a partial victory for Ms. Cooper.
Cooper's lawyers also argued USA Powerlifting discriminated against her in its role as a business. That's where it gets murkier. The justice is writing there could be a legitimate business reason to stop transgender athletes from competing in women's sports. USA Powerlifting has not actually argued a so-called bona fide business purpose, but the High Court has now left the door open for it.
Do you plan to use that exemption argument, the bona fide business purpose, in district court?
Absolutely. And because we think we've got a bona fide business reason, which is maintaining fairness in competition.
I would also point out that we have multiple competition categories, and they're based on age and scholastic status, ability level, and particular lifts. So we make distinctions among different groups based on the possibility of an equal footing for everybody.
Because technically speaking, all of this time we've been having different competition. I believe if in powerlifting, if I'm not mistaken, they have an age category. All these years we've been having a gender category, males, females. But this new thing, this new madness, this new insanity says thousands of years of there being a difference between male and female, ding, 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 ding. We've discovered some new knowledge that was hidden behind the other knowledge that says there is no difference between male and female. Is that a fact? Could somebody please show me one example of a man having a menstruation? Could somebody show me just one example of a man giving birth? No, not a woman born female and decided in her mind that she wants to be a fella. I'm not talking about that. The very essence of a woman is the capability. Not all women can give birth, but all women has a possibility of giving birth. There is zero, zilch, nada chance of any man ever giving birth.
I followed all the rules leading up to competing, and like my own beliefs aside, like that should be enough. This is what happens, right? When trans people meet all the rules, they'll just establish more rules to govern our bodies and like our participation in society and in sport.
In the history of this world, there's never been a man throughout history that has ever given birth. But now we're arguing this point. So if I go to the bank today and I tell them I would like to withdraw $10 million, on top of that, I want to use another $5 or $6 million. I got a ranch I got my eyes on. Want to buy me a ranch. Small, like 15, 16 acres, not nothing big. And I want you to give me my money. And if you don't give me the money, you're discriminating against me. Because I guess we can call it money phobia, currency phobia or something. You won't let me have my money. It says, sir, you don't have any money in this bank, and your damn sure don't got $10 million in the bank. I'm going to say, what difference does that make? I don't understand your logic. Logically, you're saying, just so happens, just say we use it as an example. What if Donald Trump starts self-identifying as an African American? Do you think those on the left, the blacks and the whites, the Latinas, the Asians, do you think that they would agree that he's now an Asian? Rachel Dolezal, you remember the woman, the freckles on her face, got two white parents. She was pretending to be black. She was even heading up a chapter of the NAACP. They destroyed that woman. They said, you're not black. Hold on a minute. She self-identified as black though. So you're telling me that she can't self-identify as black, but a grown freaking man looking like he should be playing outside linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys or something, and you're telling me that he can identify as a woman? His name even sounds like an outside linebacker, J.C. Cooper. And they're saying that J.C. Cooper must be allowed to compete against women, and he's not a small fella.
Minnesota's Republican House Speaker is criticizing the ruling, saying, quote, this issue is ultimately about safety and fairness, and Minnesotans overwhelmingly agree that their daughters and granddaughters should not be forced to compete against boys. Now, this case is not over yet. Justices also ruled that USA Powerlifting's arguments over fairness in women's competitions could potentially be protected under the state's Human Rights Act, which allows for exceptions under, quote, legitimate business purposes. Court says this could be a genuine legal defense for the organization, sent that part of the case back down to the district court for further review. So, Lawrence, stay tuned.
Pretty large fella right there. Don't want to compete against the men because you can't beat the men. I see. But the Supreme Court agrees with it. We've lost our damn mind in this country.